There's a big move to promote meatless Mondays these days. Now, eating vegetarian is not only good for your health, it's also good for your wallet, and it's fantastic for the planet. And if you tend to think vegetarian food is boring, you've got to try the flavor bomb that vegan chef Adam Sobel cooks up in my kitchen. Perfect for a weeknight meal.
Yeah,
and they're vegan.
fast.
Yum. All right.
I didn't know I was going to get free lunch out of this deal. That's good.
Another vegetarian dish with a boring reputation gets a makeover today. I'm talking about spaghetti squash, and I've got a fast way to cook it. 15 minutes from start to finish. Then we'll concentrate the flavors and spruce it up with some delicious sauce. I love sauce. I'm a saucy girl. As they say on TV, but wait, there's more. I'll share an epiphany I had about traditional savory pot stickers. And then one day I was like, oh, how about putting some fruit in there? And boom, the fruit pot sticker was born. Filled with dried plums and apricots, fried till it's crispy, drizzled with raspberry sauce, topped with vanilla yogurt. Oh my! Stick around. It's all coming up today on Sara's Weeknight Meals. Adam Sobel had a wildly popular vegan food truck for years. And now his delicious vegan bites can be found online.
People who like puppies, you'll come to our food and you're gonna love to eat our food. I think like people come to us because they love our food, but they also come to us because like we brighten up their day and it's fun for them, and they, like we kind of fall in love with each other. We fall in love with our customers and they fall in love with us. I think it's partially because like running a business isn't like the whole point of what we do, like it's important, like we have to pay our bills and we have to pay our employees, so we have to be out making money, but it's not like our primary purpose, like we're out in the world because we really want to change the world.
I am so excited to have you here.
Oh, I'm so psyched
Adam,
to
I
be
mean,
here.
after I ate at your truck, I'm so much more excited about vegan food in general. So tell us what we're making first.
All right, so we're gonna make Korean barbecue tofu tacos.
And so we start with the tofu?
Yeah, we're gonna start with getting our tofu marinated and baked.
Okay. So we need to take it out of the package, clearly. And that's firm tofu?
This is an extra firm tofu that will really bake up into a nice texture for us.
So we need it because we need the texture. I'm going to talk about tofu in a minute too, but I want to see what you're up to. So we slice it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just kind of into little thin strips like this.
I have to say the really silly, obvious thing for people out there who don't know what tofu is, it's dried, soaked, cooked, pressed soybeans, essentially. Okay, so what is our marinade?
All right, so
or
we're going to
marinade?
use gochujang, which is a Korean chili paste, essentially. It's got a nice sweetness because it's made with fermented rice flour in it.
Okay, and that's 2 tablespoons roughly. I know you don't measure. Do you even measure on the truck?
We do measure everything because we make things in such huge batches on the truck.
And then maple syrup.
Oh yeah, a nice little...
Why maple syrup?
It just brings out a nice sweetness in this kind of chili,
And it
sweet,
balances
spicy.
the heat in there. Yeah, sugar and chilies. Okay, that was 2 tablespoons.
And then here's a few tablespoons of sesame oil, toasted sesame oil.
About 3 tablespoons. Wow, okay, so that's the marinade. So it's going to make it sort of sweet and spicy at the same time. So we're going to put this on there and just brush it, or?
I'm going to brush a little bit on the tray first,
Okay.
just so it doesn't stick on there.
Oh, fun, like finger painting, huh?
Uh-huh.
So let me tell you about a little trick I have.
Great.
It's how to save leftover tofu. You freeze it. And what you do is you freeze it in resealable bags. And then when you defrost it, it has a texture that is much more absorbent of sauces. Have you ever done that?
Yeah, what happens is as the tofu freezes, the water crystallizes within it and kind of breaks apart all the protein and makes it really absorb a lot more marinade.
So it's actually a good thing.
Yeah.
And so this is going to go in a 400-degree oven for about 15...
Yeah, 15 to 18 minutes.
Oh, all right, I'm going to pop this in the top oven, and do you want to grab our Napa cabbage?
Sure.
I am so excited because we are going to make kimchi. There you go, guys.
So
Okay.
basically the principal components of a normal kimchi are Napa cabbage, daikon
You want me to
radish.
peel it, right?
Sure, yeah.
Daikon,
peel it up.
okay.
And just regular red radishes.
Okay, so you're gonna chop that up. We're using Napa because that's what's usually used.
Yeah, the American style cabbage is a little bit too rough. You know, this is such a nice, delicate, tender type of cabbage, and as it ferments, it really becomes just this beautiful, soft condiment.
Now, your food truck, you started in Hoboken, is that correct?
That's right. I started it on Valentine's Day of 2010. We started the truck. And now we operate it in New York City.
That's where I tasted it. That's what it was like, convinced me, like, we have to have that man on the show, because if vegan food can be this good, everybody needs to know about it. Yeah. Paste. Now, this is a lifetime supply we're making here, right?
So kimchi is a traditional Korean way of saving vegetables, basically. And in doing so, the vegetables ferment and become more nutritious, and the flavors get really pungent and intense. So if you make a big batch, it's something that sticks around and stays good.
You've got it for a long time.
Months.
Yeah, that's great. So I've got here, what is this, 4 cups of water. And I'm going to add a half a cup of kosher salt.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stir it till it's dissolved. All right, so that all goes in there. And we toss it up a little bit. And then you leave it for how long to sort
You
of
want to leave this out for 4 or 5 hours, just to brine like that.
Here, I want to show you. Want to pull up the one that's been
Sure. So this one's been sitting now for 5 hours, and we've already rinsed it.
Okay, so
And
now.
then, let's make our paste here. So I'll get on this onion.
Okay, and you need me to chop up some ginger, and this all just goes into the food processor.
You don't need to be crazy about chopping it super fine, because it's all going to get ground up in there.
And the garlic just goes in whole, 3 cloves.
Uh-huh.
So 1 small onion, 3 cloves of garlic, about a 1-inch piece of ginger.
And then the real secret to it is the Korean ground chili.
Yeah.
It really has a nice, kind of just bold flavor.
We're going to put, what, a 1/4 cup?
A third of a cup.
A third of a cup.
You're going to use 2 teaspoons of evaporated cane juice.
A teaspoon of salt.
Yep.
Okay, so pulse or go?
Just go with it.
Let it rip. I'm going to let you add the water. Should we take a look?
Yep.
I've got a rubber scraper right here. Oh, that looks pretty good, don't you
Yeah,
think?
it does look really
All
good.
right, so I think we can, it's a go. Okay, so we're going to toss this with the mixture. You know what? I don't think we really need to, because whoever does it's going to have red hands.
Right.
But you really massage this in, is that
really,
correct?
really massage it into the veggies.
And then you
you'll see-
refrigerate it,
yeah.
and this is how beautiful it looks.
Right. So you
Wow.
let it ripen for about a week in the refrigerator afterwards, and then you can let it continue ripening in there even for a month or so, because it's going to stay good.
That's so great. I'm going to start making my own kimchi. You just
good
turn
stuff.
me around. Okay, so let me just make a little room here. Come on down.
Great. I'll check on our
Oh
tofu.
yeah, let's see what that looks like.
All right, so let's assemble these. You want to grab some arugula for us?
Oh yes,
Right. I love the little bite that arugula has, and really freshens things up like
yes,
this.
I agree. So we're going to heat these guys over an open burner, huh?
Yeah, just to kind of put grill marks on them and soften the tortillas.
Do you want it on high or?
Yeah, put it right on high.
You're a brave man. Use tongs. I know you don't.
Right.
Don't try this at home. Do not stick your
Let's see
hand
if
in
I
the fire.
can this time. And
So
you'll
what if
see
you
little
don't- yeah.
singed up brown marks on it. That's ideal.
Okay, so first,
All right, so first let's spread some of the sriracha mayo on. That's made with vegan mayonnaise. Nice healthy pile of arugula. Some of our kimchi. Pieces of our tofu.
oh, it's very pretty too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice colors. And then just top it off with some of the scallions.
All right. Oh my
A
God,
little
this is
sprinkle of the
spectacular.
toasted sesame seeds. Yeah.
So did we put the hot stuff in or no?
That's up to you. I really like a
I
lot
like
of heat.
it. I
so
like hot
if
stuff.
you're down.
Okay, here we go. Before I do this, because I'm going to be chewing in just a minute, thank you so much for our Korean barbecue tacos. I can't wait to taste them. Perfect for a weeknight meal.
Yeah,
and they're
super
vegan.
fast.
Yum. All right.
I didn't know I was going to get free lunch out of this deal. That's good.
I got a little chili on my nose. Sometimes you're looking for an alternative to pasta. Maybe you want to be gluten-free or need to be gluten-free. Maybe you're trying to cut out the carbs. Well, I have a perfect solution: spaghetti squash. It's so named because when you cook it and you go to scrape out the flesh, it comes out in strands like spaghetti. So today I'm going to make a pasta dish. It's spaghetti squash and zucchini. It's a double squash production with a creamy goat cheese sauce. I'm going to start with the zucchini. I've grated it using the grating disc of a food processor, but you could certainly use, the coarse side of a four-sided grater. I prefer not to. I think it's a lethal weapon. A little bit of you goes into every dish. I used to hate zucchini, but then I discovered that if you salted it, and I'm adding 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt to this, and then you let it drain, you got rid of all that excess water in there. Wow, it was really pretty darn tasty. I've got this in a colander set over a bowl. We're gonna let it drain for about 20 minutes. 10 would be fine, but 20's better. And we're just gonna let it sit over there. While that's draining, I'm going to get the onions going. I've got 2 tablespoons of olive oil, good stuff. I've got a 1.5 cups of onions here that I thinly sliced. A tiny pinch of salt. You need to season as you go. Don't wait till the end. Okay. These are going to take, 8-10 minutes. We're looking for them to first soften and then get a little brown. Okay, and here is the star of the show, spaghetti squash. It's a hard skin squash that's available all year long, although predominantly more in the fall. It's a little bit bland, but that's okay. So most people, when they cook a spaghetti squash, cut it in half this way, and then put it cut side down in a pan and roast it in the oven. However, it takes an hour. I prefer instead to do the quick microwave method. It takes 15 minutes from start to finish. So we start with our raw squash. You still need to prick it several times, about 3 or 4 times, because when it goes in the microwave, we want to make sure some steam can come out. And we're going to pop it in and give it 5 minutes on high. I take it out of the microwave, I slice it in half, crosswise, very important, and then I pop it back in for another 5 minutes. Now I take it out and it's soft enough that I can scoop out all the seeds. It's much easier to wait till it's partially cooked to do this than to do it in the beginning. I'm going to pop it back in the microwave for another 5 minutes after I've removed the seeds. Okay, these are ready to scoop after just 15 minutes. You just use a fork and you pull from the sides and the strands will come out. And now you're going to see why I cut it crosswise instead of lengthwise. When you do it lengthwise, you end up with short little strands. And when you do it crosswise like that, you end up with really long ones. And just look at that. Look at how beautiful that is. Okay, I'm going to squeeze the zucchini to get out even more liquid. You will be astonished at how much comes out. We're concentrating the flavor of the zucchini. Okay, before I clear this, I just want to show you how much liquid came out of that zucchini. Isn't that wild? My onions are perfect. They're soft and sizzly. Now I'm going to add my squozen zucchini right in there and just stir it quickly, cook it for 3 minutes. We're just trying to soften it a bit because it's such a thin little pieces of zucchini. Doesn't take any time at all to cook. And it's going to cook further in the cream sauce. Let me tell you how to chiffonade a flat herb like sage. You stack them on top of each other like a deck of cards, and then you roll them up like a cigar, very tight. Then you cross-cut slice it to get it into tiny shreds, and you can give it a few more chops, but that's it. It will be very fine and good to go. Okay, let's get this out of the pan. into the same bowl that we used before. We're trying to keep the dishes down to a dull roar. I want that zucchini to keep the green color while the spaghetti squash cooks some more. Okay, park this over here. Now for my sauce. In the same pan I had the zucchini and onions. I'm gonna add 2 cups of vegetable broth. You could add chicken stock if you want, if you don't need it to be vegetarian. I'm gonna also add 4 ounces of fresh goat cheese, not the aged kind. You can use light cream cheese if you want instead. Let me get the sage in there too. Essentially, as this reduces, it's gonna thicken from the cheese. Now that it's all melted and creamy, I'm gonna put the spaghetti squash in with the sauce and simmer it covered for about 5 minutes or until the squash gets even more tender. Let me talk briefly about the flavor of spaghetti squash. I'll admit it's bland, but then again, so is pasta. I love sauce, and it's a terrific absorber of sauce, just the way pasta is. Even the husband loved this, even though this is a vegetarian dish. While that's cooking, I'm going to grate some Parmigiano Reggiano. With the microplane, I need about 1 ounce. A little goes a long way. All right, I'm gonna take a peek. Oh, yes, that's looking delicious. I like my pasta saucy. So now that it's ready, I'm gonna put the zucchini back in. And my grated parm, 1 ounce. Oh, I wish you could smell this. It smells so, so good. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna use a spoon so I can get a little bit of the sauce that's in the pan. As I mentioned, I'm a saucy girl. Yes, I am. I like my sauce. Now, we're not quite done. We have 2 garnishes. One is a little more Parmigiano Reggiano, fresh on top, and a few toasted pine nuts. Walnuts would be lovely too. So there you go, my vegetarian, very quick spaghetti squash weeknight pasta. I've been cooking with wonton wrappers for years. Wonton wrappers are square, fresh pasta that are used in Chinese cuisine. So I've made pot stickers, which are traditionally savory, stuffed with vegetables or pork or shrimp. And then one day I was like, oh, how about putting some fruit in there? I think that would work beautifully. So today I've got dried apricots and dried plums, AKA prunes. Now apricots are not all that sticky, but prunes are, so you can just brush your knife with a little bit of neutral oil, and then it's so much easier to cut these in half. Everybody associates them with digestive health, and yeah, they're very good at that, but they're good for so many other reasons, including for women. Research says that eating 5 to 6 prunes a day may help bone health. They bring both a little touch of sweetness and also some acid, plus great depth of flavor. Okay, now I'm going to talk about wonton wrappers. I've got them covered the way I cover them when I'm working with them, which is with a damp paper towel and then some plastic wrap because they dry out quickly. And I'm only going to work with a few at a time. I start by wetting all 4 corners. I'm using my finger. This is just water. And then we're going to stuff them. And I'm going to put 2 of each halves in the middle of each wonton wrapper. So you can make them ahead of time just like this, and then keep them covered with a damp paper towel and plastic wrap, you know, maybe even overnight. So I'm going to transfer these to a half sheet pan, or a small sheet pan, that's got parchment on it and been dusted with a little bit of cornstarch so they don't stick. I'm going to make some more. I need 6 for our purposes today. A full recipe will make 12. let's get these guys cooking. I've started to preheat my pan. It's a non-stick pan, which is best for this, or stick resistant. Try to use one of the non-toxic varieties. I'm gonna put in a little bit of vegetable oil. I like grapeseed actually, as a high smoke point, and a little bit of butter. You could do all oil. I like a little bit of butter in there just for the flavor. We're gonna let this melt completely. I'm gonna get these guys in. Yes. You wanna hear that sound when they go in. While these cook away, let me tell you the story of how the pot sticker got its name. This story comes via my friend Martin Yan, way back in the imperial days. When the chef was cooking for the emperor, he was making dumplings. And he sort of forgot what he was doing and wasn't paying attention, and they got very dark on the bottom. But he took them to the emperor, expecting fully the emperor would say, "Off with his head." And instead, the emperor said, "These are really good. What do you call them?" So the very crafty chef came up with pot stickers. Let me see. Oh yeah, that's pretty darn good. When you add the water, it's about 1/4 cup. You need to have a lid handy, and watch out because obviously it's going to sputter. We're adding water to hot fat. So I'm going to let these steam for about 6 to 8 minutes or until they're translucent. We're going to make a quick sauce with Greek yogurt, and we're going to add just a tiny bit of sugar. You'll see this is a very low sugar dish. We're going to add 1/2 teaspoon, that's all, of sugar, and 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract, the real McCoy. So there we go. And that's it for our very complicated sauce. And then I've made a raspberry sauce, fresh raspberry sauce. You can use a store-bought one, and we'll see how our pot stickers are doing. What we're looking for is to be able to see through the wonton wrapper. That means that the pasta is cooked, the wonton is cooked, and you can see the fruit through it. Yes, you see? You can see the apricot right there. Yeah. Now we're going to crank this up and give it some heat so we can re-crisp them. Okay, you hear that noise? It's like most of the water's evaporated. It's beginning to sputter. I'm going to take a look at the bottoms, but I feel very sure that these are ready to go. Yes, there we have it. See how beautifully crispy that is? I'm going to put some raspberry sauce on the bottom to begin with. And a portion here is 3 of my pot stickers. So get your inner Jackson Pollock going on here. We're going to put more on top because it's nice to have a little more of the raspberry sauce. And we'll put 1, 2, 3. I turned off the heat. And then we must drizzle a little bit more on top. Wow. And a little dollop of our Greek yogurt. And finally, a sprig of mint. So I made this at home for my husband to test out the recipe. What did he do? He ate the mint. And his comment was, "Wow, I just love that pot sticker with the mint." So it made me rethink how to serve this recipe. And I think that every pot sticker must have a little piece of mint. So there you have it, my dried apricot and dried plum fruit pot stickers. Wow, that looks pretty beautiful, if I do say so myself. Let's taste it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Sara Moulton, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Sara's Weeknight Meals. Wow.